message to millions. And this is a framework that I've used. I've taken Donald Miller, right, who wrote the book Story Brand, Russell Brunson, Bo Eason, and my own thing, and kind of put them all together and created a baby. Does that make sense? And this is literally the ultimate signature talk framework that will get you the result that you want. And there's 10 parts. I made it so easy that anybody can build with this message to millions framework that I built here. That doesn't matter what niche you're in, who's your ideal client, what's your product, what's your offer. This is going to be how you take your clients on a journey with you. You can use this for keynote speaking. You can use this for your webinars. You can build your entire training program based on this. Okay. So that's what we're going to dive into. All right. So facts tell, stories sell. And stories are really the connection between the person that you're speaking to, the problem they actually have, and most importantly, how you are stepping into their life, their business, their relationship, whatever problems they have, whatever solution they're seeking. And you're stepping in as the guide. So this framework that I'm going to walk you guys through today is basically how you can actually turn your message. I think that the top 1% in the world, they generate wealth with their message, which is basically expertise that they've, gained through their entire life experiences, right? Struggles and challenges and successes that they've actually came and strategies they now know and skills they've actually honed, right? To turn that message into millions, that's where the top 1% actually generate, how they generate wealth is through extracting what's in their mind and what's in their heart, what they've actually been through, and being able to create a message around that so that they can find the message, which is their ideal client, and they are the messenger. Okay. So 10 parts of this, I'm going to walk you guys through how to actually tell your story. And you can use this I call it the ultimate signature talk framework. And it comes with 10 parts to it. The very first part is your personal story. This is where you're sharing where you either learned it or earned it. Learning it is, hey, I decided to transition my business online 2 years ago in 2018. And I thought it was going to be easy, but I struggled, right? I struggled hard. It took me a year to launch my first course, took me another 9 months to get my very first sale. So through that whole learning process of doing it wrong and figure out a way to do it right, being able to a year later in 2021, grew our first 7-figure online business, right? So you're sharing whatever your framework is, your method, your way based on where you actually learned it, right? Or where you earned it. And also at the same time in 2020, when I went to Funnel Hacking Live, I decided to change my permission. I gave myself permission to be successful. I also changed my pattern that wasn't working for me. I was trying to figure this out on my own. And when Russell Brunson, my mentor now, made an offer for us to join his 2 Comma coaching program, I decided to say yes to that, right? And then third, I knew that I needed a different peer group, right? So that's how I actually learned how to actually grow my business to 7 figures a year later as well, right? Your origin story walks through 3 parts, right? Your personal story. One is the pain, whatever you have dealt with, right? This is kind of like in the copywriting world, it's also called the before after bridge, right? What was the pain or the challenge that you actually went through, right? What was the path? What was the path that actually, the decisions you make? What was your journey like? Your own hero's journey, so that you are now made it your passion as the guide, right? To help your ideal clients become the hero, and you've actually created your offer based on that. Does that make sense? So you always start with a personal story, right? Some people will come on and they'll share strategies right away, right? Hey guys, welcome to today's webinar. Today, I'm going to walk you guys through, 5 steps to a funnel. And they go right into 5 steps to a funnel or 7 steps to, copywriting, whatever that is. And there's no personal connection, right? There's no personal connection as well. So part number 1 is actually sharing your story, your personal story, right? Just like when I hop on, I share right away how there's a couple of stories that I really share in my personal story. One of them is how I left Laos when I was 5 years old, getting shot at, crossing the Mekong River to Thailand, right? Why did I do all that? And then I shared growing up in Murderapolis in 1980, which is that Minneapolis was called Murderapolis at that time, how my parents were first generation here, how they work. I watch them work 2 full-time jobs Monday through Friday, and then a job on the weekends. And the story itself connects with my message that I want to hear, which is about wealth building, right? Does that make sense? But that personal story keeps them engaged, and they see themselves, their version of their story, right in the middle of yours as you're sharing it. So part one is all about your personal story, right? And then the part two of this is about the payoff story, which is they're on your webinar, they're on your challenge, they're watching your video. It doesn't matter, right? They're watching an automated webinar, your VSL, or even on a call, whether you decide to do the tiny challenge or having a book, a one-on-one call, running a webinar challenge. It doesn't matter, running an event. This is the payoff story. They're there, and people, you want to address time. Well, how time is very valuable. But if you're doing something for free, you can say, look, even though you didn't pay to be here on the webinar, but you did pay. You paid with your time. And I believe that your time is way more valuable than money. Money you can always make back. So let me share with you what you're going to get, right? The payoff of this webinar, the payoff of this challenge. If you're making your offer, the payoff of this offer is this. Does that make sense? So you share with them the payoff so that they know that they're in the right place. Third is the problem story. What problem do you actually solve, right? What's the pain point? What's the challenge here, right? If you're doing, low ticket to high ticket coaching, like me, for example, I'll talk about how they have, they're probably sold. The problem I solved, they probably sold, but their margins are too low. And the reason why their margins are too low, because they're selling low ticket. They haven't crafted or marketing or selling high ticket yet. And the reason why they're not selling high ticket yet is because they feel like they're not enough yet, right? Or they don't know how to sell high ticket, how to create high ticket, what in the psychology behind selling high ticket, right? The strategies behind selling high ticket and how to actually do it. So I could talk about the problem that I solved. The fourth is the programming story. The programming story is this. There's a set of beliefs, right, that they believe in. And the programming story is, you are going to now say, hey, so on this webinar today, you're going to learn 3 things, right? And the 3 things you're going to learn is this. The very first programming story that you have to uninstall is the vehicle belief. I'm here in Croatia. We're actually at Tony Robbins Platinum Partner. And one of my, she's actually going to be a client here. We actually talked about last night. But she owns a seller financing business. And she's like, I'm having a hard time getting buyers, right? Buyers into our program, and having a hard time, converting them. And the reason why is because, think about this, right? Every single one of us on this call, probably all of us on this call right now, except for me, who I understand, or maybe some of you guys understand seller financing, but what's the programming around the vehicle belief about buying a home, right? I was taught the traditional way of buying home, right? Go to a bank, go to a mortgage company, right? You got to have great credit. You got to have your W-2s, taxes, all of those things. You got to have all of those things. And you got to be they say if you fit in this box, that means that you're a good person. We're going to lend to you. Does that make sense? Right? So I have to shift. I said, you got to shift them from that old vehicle belief that the only way that they're going to actually get is through a bank. There's other ways to fund your home. I can actually fund it, and here's all you need. So you're actually asking them to go from a current belief, a current vehicle, or current way of doing something to a new way, which is your way. Does that make sense? So the program. So for me, it's about wealth building, right? The vehicle that I'm shifting people away from is, hey, this is how we were taught to build wealth, right? Get a degree, work for a company, save up for retirement, retire happy one day. That's how we were programmed to actually generate revenue and build wealth for our families and ourselves. But you and I both know that's not the way.